Yes, indeed. You can see right there, we're being joined by Mr. Daniel Bwala, who is a special advisor on public communications and media. It was sometime last year, precisely in November, when the president was invited to the G20 summit in Brazil, and he went there with plenty of flourish. He was welcomed to the BRICS summit holding, beg your pardon, to the G20 summit, but much later there was also the BRICS summit, which he was also invited to. A few days ago, on the 17th of January, on Friday, the announcement came that Nigeria has now been made a partner country of the BRICS. And a number of people wonder, what does that mean? A partner country is not exactly a member, but I think you're here now to enlighten us on what exactly this is for the country.
Yeah, a partner member, first of all, thank you for having me. A partner member means that the country can freely participate in areas of interest with the BRICS. And the areas of interest are promoting trade and investment, looking at food security, because it's part of what the climate change focused on. The climate change conference focused on food security. So food security, infrastructural development, trade and investment, they're all parts of this collaboration, engagement, and partnership that the global community tend to promote depending on the bloc that you belong to. So in this case, the BRICS, which is of course an alternative to the mainstream traditional Western bloc, aim at promoting this element that I talked about, welcome the idea of Nigeria becoming a partner. Actually, Nigeria accepted because it invited Nigeria to be a part of it. So, and I like that because as a country, before you join fully, you have to take a step, one step at a time, to appraise and also understand fully whether or not when you become a member of that bloc, you are not jeopardizing your other interests with the Western community, because part of those challenges where you have to diversify engagement so that your total commitment to one bloc does not shut you out from the benefit you are likely to enjoy from the other bloc. So partnership is collaboration in the areas of interest of the bloc, which is, for example, I talked about trade and investment, food security, climate change, agriculture, and other issues.
So what are some of the benefits that Nigeria is hoping that will accrue to it as a result of being made a partner?
So if you're a partner, for example, you have a right not just to participate in participate in relationships. So for example, before being a partner, as a country, part of your foreign policy objective is you might want to relate with a member of the BRICS on the basis of bilateral relationship. Being a partner means you have been given the access and opportunity to also participate in multilateral, engagement and relationship with the members of the BRICS. So the benefits are, for example, in trade and investment. If you see some of the members of the country, you look at China, you look at Russia. Russia in agriculture will benefited a lot from them. China, of course, in infrastructure, in technology, even in agro issues, we're benefited or we're enjoying that kind of relationship. And then you look at Brazil. Brazil too is part of it. South Africa, quite a number of countries. Nigeria is not the only country that is a partner. I think we have about 7 or 8 partners. But basically the benefit is promoting multilateral and bilateral relationship with these member states in the areas of interest where there will be shared benefit. Because one thing about most countries and foreign policy objective of the country is that they look at national interests and shared prosperity. So if you are benefiting more than the other person, the people are likely to appraise the relationship so that it doesn't become a one-sided relationship where you benefit from us, but we don't benefit from you. You see area of exchange. For example, exportation and importation. We have to look at it from the point of view that both countries are enjoying that. And of course, Nigeria is seeking to grow from being a consumption country to a production country. So Nigeria seeks to promote domestic production. Nigeria seeks to export this product out of the country. Nigerian people as a people are entrepreneurial in their spirit. You have sports, entertainment, and all of that. So all of it is seeking to enhance that relationship so that both countries will enjoy and grow and meet the desired objective.
Well, I know Ayo has questions for you.
Thank you, Malkwe. One of the things that gets to me about this that I'd like you to speak to, Mr. Bwala, is that as a partner country, Nigeria is not likely to have voting rights or significant decision-making power within BRICS. Can you confirm that, and how does Nigeria navigate that?
Of course, for you to be able to have a voting right, you have to be a full member. It's just like in corporate governance. You have to be a member of that company. You have to be a shareholder before you have a voting right. Now, but what are the decisions that BRICS is likely to make as a bloc that will jeopardize the interests of Nigeria? Remember, BRICS is nascent in the sense that it hasn't existed long enough to challenge some of the mainstream, like the traditional Western community. So there are no decisions at the moment that the BRICS as a bloc will make that Nigeria will be jeopardized because of its lack of being a member. But partnership is one of the processes where, for example, we talked about collaboration. If a decision is to be made in a specific area that Nigeria thinks it will not be of interest to it, as a partner, you have a right to engage with the member states before they will arrive at that point where they will make a decision. So because BRICS is also interested in the partner members and also wishes that these partner members will join as members, I do not think that BRICS as a bloc will take any decision that will jeopardize the interests of these countries. And in deciding on any issue of interest to the bloc, they will take into cognizance the opinion of the partners. That's the whole idea. It is like telling somebody before you come and join our club, come and attend one of our dinners and see what it feels like to be a part of this club. You come to the dinner, it is the objective of the team or the group to ensure that you are given a very warm reception. It is also the objective to ensure that you are treated very, very well so that you will feel the need to be a part of it. And there is nothing that the group will want to do that will jeopardize your interest if their interest is to get you to be a part of it. And no nation will be invited to be a part of the bloc if that nation is not going to add value to it.
And there are so many other issues to raise with you, Mr. Bwala, but let's quickly segue to the president's trip to Abu Dhabi concerning the Sustainability Week. And of course, the president has also made an offer to that country's leader to come here. But it would seem like, maybe I should ask you, what are the low-hanging fruits from that Sustainability Week that the president attended in Abu Dhabi that couldn't have been achieved without that trip?
Wow, it is massive. Massive in the sense that, you just think of it, what would be the benefit of what someone will get by being present in a meeting and being absent? If you're absent in a meeting, decision may be taken without your knowledge. If you're absent in a meeting, probably credence will not be put regarding your interests. But if you are there, you are able to not only participate in the activities, but to make your position known. Remember that the president presented a historic epoch-making speech at the Sustainability Week, where he emphasized the commitment of Nigeria as a nation to climate change and climate sustainability. He talked about, for example, climate resilience. He talked about energy transition, and then he talked about sustainable development. He talked about the effort that Nigeria is making at the moment in achieving this objective. Because if you remember the G20 meeting that was held, part of what they emphasized at the meeting and concluded was what they call global governance reform. And the global governance reform revolved around poverty, hunger, that's dealing with poverty and hunger, and also the climate change. Nigeria is already doing robustly well in the area of agriculture dealing with hunger. In the area of the climate change is a commitment. There are nations who are sufficiently balanced to go into it, and there are nations that are taking one step at a time. For example, in Nigeria, we have introduced the CNG initiative, and we are hoping that that will translate to electricity, alternative energy platform. You need to understand, I forgot the name, Mr. Makinde, that this concept of climate change requires robust investment. It's an expensive endeavor, especially on the part of developing countries. The developed countries would have had their industrial revolution. So all the burning of the greenhouse gases are taking place substantially, and they have come to a point where they have sufficient infrastructure to try to migrate to energy alternative. But the countries that are developing still have lots of challenges. For example, in the area of infrastructure, you have challenges in the area of technology as well, and in the area of agriculture. So we need investment, we need support system. The rest of the world who have attained certain advantageous level are also making the commitment to be a part of it. You see the challenge even in America. Biden administration wholly committed to climate change. Trump looks at climate change with doubt, and then they are likely to have a setback as a country by the time he becomes president because of the quote-unquote what they call conspiracy theory about climate change that he believes. And then you go to other countries of the world like the United Kingdom too, they are making serious effort to migrate. Africa and Nigeria is taking also playing its role. Also, President Bola Tinubu actually lay again the commitment of Nigeria and what we have already begun towards achieving this sustainability and climate alternative.
You know, there's someone who will say to you, Mr. Bola, all that is exceptional talk, very good talk. And you've talked about the gaps that we need to fill, infrastructure and all of that. But there is a critical one that we're struggling with, and that is the awareness of the people, education of the people. And these things happen at the states. One wonders whether how the president intends to follow up with these issues without significantly engaging productively and sustainably engaging the state governments to ensure that the needful is done, because at the end of the day, the president can't take the shovel and hoe himself. He has to engage with the states to do this. So what's the plan to ensure that the promises he made at Abu Dhabi cascade down to the states through significant sustained engagements?
Right. Actually, generally in life, before you can do anything, you have to talk it. It is when you talk it, then you will back it up with action. I'm sure that those who have been observing the conduct of Mr. President and his demeanor towards his relationship with the governors will certainly agree with us that the president is one who believes in teamwork rather than one-man squad. And I can give you an example of the president's commitment to collaborate with governors. We had a judgment that authorized local government autonomy, but he didn't rush to implement it. He still engaged the state governors so we can have an understanding of how to effectively implement the judgment of the Supreme Court, which is also backed up by what the president plan was. And that has been achieved. And then we are going to see in the coming week the release of these funds directly to the local government. That's the idea of the president engaging with governors. You must have also noticed or observed over time that so many occasions the governors had demand for some money. The president will have the money released to them despite the fact that they have increased allocation. The president's ears have always been open also to the governors on areas that the federal government will collaborate with them in delivering governance. Now, when you deliver governance, I believe you are still fulfilling part of the sustainability, because we're looking at development that will last. We are looking at what will last, not just for us, like he said in the speech, but for time after us. And the president is poised on that. He has been having a series of meetings with the governor, which you know. Even, for example, the tax reform, which is part of the initiative, the president has also been engaging with the governor. There is no evidence to show that there is any lack of communication, engagement, collaboration, or effort on the part of the president to carry the governors along in fulfilling that. Remember, almost all of these trips that he travels to, he traveled with the governors. And these governors have been so good that in almost all of the trips that they travel with him, they also explore opportunities to get investors and explore opportunities to also take advantage of what is on the table so they can bring it and break it down to their state, which is what you are seeing in some states of the Federation.
So do you think then that, this sort of conversation which the conservative leader of the UK party, the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK, Ms. Kemi Badenoch, has been making, do you think it will have any effect whatsoever on the potential investors that have been trying to bring in?
Well, in the case of Kemi Badenoch, at this level, she is a leader of the opposition. She's not like the leader of the government in power. The government in power is the one that shaped the policy. The opposition markets their policy, and they are hoping to come back because they just lost the government. I do not think that the rhetoric, first of all, we definitely celebrate Kemi being a Nigerian woman if you have lived long enough in Nigeria to see the challenges that women face, and then you see a woman breaking through not just in Nigeria but outside of Nigeria, you can but celebrate her. And that to us is massive achievement to have a woman like her, smart, intelligent, and not just thriving in the UK, potentially likely to be the Prime Minister of England if the party probably wins. The only problem we have with Kemi, I think, is the rhetoric. because Kemi belonged to the right base in the United Kingdom, which is what you see in this populism around the world, that you can deepen on your support system if you can feed off of the anger of the people. And so she's building a rhetoric of denigrating Nigeria, demarcating Nigeria, so she can probably win the acceptance or acceptation of the right in her party. And that to me is counterproductive, because if you look at Rishi Sunak, he is also from Indian origin. There has been this issue of gang rape in India. He has never used that as a weapon to promote what he believed to be a departure from what is likely to be believed as hereditary or history of the Indian people. But she has always denigrated Nigeria. She grew up to a part in Nigeria. She went to school. So there's a part of her that is a product of Nigeria, apart from the fact that she was born to Nigerian parents. And then secondly, Nigeria is not the problem of the United Kingdom. Recently, there was a report about gang rape in the UK that spanned, I think, over close to 20 years, where the police were held culpable by not reporting because they thought that if they did that, it was going to be considered as profiling. Do you know she has not talked about that? There are knife crime every time in the United Kingdom. You can count a number of things enough to demarcate the United Kingdom if you wanted to.
Yeah, but you think that all of this statement then will have no effect on, the marketing efforts we're making in Nigeria?
I don't think that it will have effect. One, because she's not the government in power. Usually, this international diplomacy, collaboration, or relationship is a dealing between government to government. Now, because she's not the government in power, it will not have that effect. But secondly, because she's a Nigerian, investors will also, they're smart enough to assess what you say, whether it is born out of rhetoric or it is born out of genuine, belief that the Nigeria is not a place for a destination for investment. So it will not have effect whatsoever. I only wish that she would redirect her, because that path she's trading, she may not sustain her as a leader of the Conservative.
Well, Mr. Daniel Bola, we have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. He is a special advisor on public communications and media to the president. At this point, we're going to be talking proper business now with Laddie Williams as he comes in to talk about Business Morning on Sunrise Daily.